The alarm jolted Captain Ryan Miller from his light sleep. He reached for his comm unit, heart already pounding. Captain to bridge. Now. Ryan dressed quickly, his movements automatic after 15 years in the Earth Alliance Space Force. The Horizon was a modest vessel by galactic standards, a scout ship with a crew of 83, but she was Ryan's home and responsibility. The corridors were quiet during night shift, only the hum of life support systems breaking the silence. Whatever had prompted the alert, the crew hadn't been awakened yet. That was either very good or very bad. When the bridge doors slid open, Ryan immediately felt the tension in the air. "Report," he said, moving to his command chair. Lieutenant Susan Baker, his science officer, looked up from her station. Her normally calm face showed clear worry. "Sir, we've detected a massive group of vessels at the edge of our sensor range. They're adrift in the Kuiper Belt." Ryan frowned. "Pirates?" "No, sir. Much bigger. The sensor readings suggest, well, it looks like a full military fleet." The main screen activated, showing a scattered collection of ships against the blackness of space. Ryan counted quickly, 37 vessels of various sizes from small fighters to enormous carriers, all dark except for faint energy signatures. "Are they powered down?" he asked. Susan nodded. "Minimal energy readings only, barely enough for basic life support. And sir, our scans detect approximately 20,000 life signs. None of them human." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel only 5 years ago. Their first encounters with alien civilizations had been peaceful but cautious. Earth had applied for membership in the Galactic Conclave, a loose alliance of spacefaring species, but remained on probationary status. Most established species viewed humans as primitive newcomers, barely worth notice. "How long have they been drifting?" Ryan asked. Susan consulted her readings. Based on their current trajectory and velocity, approximately 3 standard weeks. "Any identification on the vessels?" Communications Officer Alan Diaz spoke up. "Sir, the design and markings match Jularian Imperial fleet configurations in our database." Ryan felt his mouth go dry. The Jularian Empire was one of the oldest and most powerful members of the Conclave. They were also among the most vocal opponents of Earth's admission. Their lead ambassador had famously dismissed humans as barely evolved primates playing with toys they don't understand. "Any response to our hails?" Ryan asked, moving to stand behind Alan's station. "Nothing direct, sir," Alan replied, adjusting his communication settings. "But I'm picking up automated distress signals on standard Conclave emergency frequencies. Their communication systems must be on minimal backup power." Security Chief Gregory Nelson spoke next, his voice gruff. "Captain, this could be a trap. The Jularan are known for their military tactics." Ryan considered this. "Playing dead with their entire fleet? That's an elaborate ruse, Chief." "Just saying we should be careful, sir." The bridge doors opened again as Commander Olivia Grant, Ryan's first officer, entered. Her red hair was tied back hastily, and she carried a data pad. "I've reviewed the sensor data," she said without preamble. "Whatever happened to their fleet was catastrophic. No signs of weapons discharge, but their power cores appear completely offline." Ryan nodded slowly, mind racing through possibilities. "Sabotage, mechanical failure?" "Unknown, sir," Olivia replied. "But their life support systems are failing. Based on energy decay rates, I'd estimate they have less than 72 hours before total system failure. 20,000 lives. Even if they were Jularan, even if they were the very people who looked down on humanity, Ryan couldn't imagine simply watching them die." "Options?" he asked, looking around at his senior staff. Chief Engineer Jack Foster had joined them on the bridge, studying the technical readouts. "Their ships are far more advanced than ours, Captain, but the basic principles should be similar. If we could get aboard, we might be able to jury-rig emergency power to their critical systems." "And if we can't?" Ryan asked. Jack shook his head. "The Horizon could maybe take 200 refugees at most. We'd have to choose who to save." An uncomfortable silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant. They'd have to decide which aliens lived and which died. Dr. Kelly Martinez, the ship's chief medical officer, spoke up from the back of the bridge where she'd been quietly observing. "Captain, I've been studying the Zularan physiology data in our database. They can enter a hibernation state when faced with extreme conditions. That might be what they're doing now to conserve oxygen and heat." "Can they survive like that until help arrives?" Ryan asked. "Not indefinitely," Kelly replied, "and waking from deep hibernation is dangerous for them. The longer they stay under, the higher the mortality rate when they revive." Ryan moved to the center of the bridge, feeling the weight of the decision before him. Earth Command was 11 days away at maximum communication speed. By then, it would be too late. Olivia stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Captain, Conclave protocols for first contact situations are pretty clear. We should notify Earth Command and wait for instructions." Ryan looked again at the screen, at the dying fleet. The Zularan might consider humans beneath them, but he refused to prove them right by abandoning them. "Those ships will run out of life support before any reinforcements arrive," he said firmly. "We're it, Commander." "Sir," Chief Nelson interjected, "the Zularan have made their opinion of humans quite clear. They might not even accept our help." Ryan allowed himself a small smile. "Then we'll just have to show them they're wrong about us. Pride is a luxury they can't afford right now." He straightened his uniform and turned to face his crew. "Prep, all shuttles and engineering teams. Medical, prepare for possible casualties. Security, I want armed escorts with all boarding parties, just in case our help isn't welcome." The bridge crew stared at him for a moment before jumping into action. "Captain," Olivia said quietly, "this could have serious diplomatic implications if something goes wrong. And if something goes right," Ryan countered, "we might just change how the galaxy sees humanity." He tapped his comm badge. "All hands, this is the captain. Yellow alert. Prepare for rescue operations." As the crew rushed to their stations, Ryan looked once more at the massive fleet drifting helplessly in space. The Zularan Empire was about to learn that the barely evolved primates they dismissed had evolved something they perhaps hadn't expected: compassion. The shuttle shook as it approached the massive Zularan flagship. Chief Engineer Zach Harris gripped his seat, feeling the vibrations through his gloved hands. Outside the viewport, the alien vessel loomed like a dead mountain floating in space. Its hull was shaped like a giant arrowhead, covered in elegant patterns that might be writing or decoration. No one on the human team knew for sure. "Final approach," announced the pilot, "docking in 30 seconds. Beside Zach sat his engineering team, 6 men and women in bulky environmental suits, each carrying specialized tools and portable power cells. They had trained for many scenarios, but boarding an advanced alien warship to save a species that looked down on humanity hadn't been in the manual. "Remember," Zach said, checking his team's suit seals one last time, "we stick together. Their gravity might be different from ours. Their air is definitely not breathable for us. Keep your suit sealed at all times." The shuttle connected with a dull thud. Green lights flashed, indicating a successful seal with the Zularan airlock. Zach took a deep breath and led his team forward. The airlock cycled slowly, its emergency, systems barely functioning. When the inner door finally slid open, Zach activated his helmet lights and stepped into darkness. The corridor beyond was massive, clearly designed for beings larger than humans. The air was frigid. Their suits registered the temperature at -15 degrees Celsius. Emergency lights created islands of dim purple light every few meters, but most of the ship remained in darkness. "Captain, we're aboard the flagship," Zach reported through his comm. "No signs of the crew yet. It's freezing in here." "Understood," Ryan's voice crackled back. "Dr. Martinez says the cold is particularly dangerous for the Zularan. Their biology shuts down below certain temperatures." Zach motioned his team forward. They moved cautiously through the alien vessel, following the schematics that had been transmitted in the distress signal. The halls were eerily quiet, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. After 10 minutes of walking, they reached what appeared to be the main engineering section. The door was partially open, as if someone had been trying to escape when the power failed. Inside, Zach's helmet lights revealed a scene that made him pause. Dozens of Jularan engineers lay on the floor, their insect-like bodies curled into tight balls. Their exoskeletons, which should have been iridescent according to their biology files, had dulled to a flat gray. None of them moved. "Dr. Martinez," Zach called over the comm. "We've found crew members. They appear to be in some kind of hibernation state. No movement." "That's consistent with severe hypothermia for their species," the doctor replied. "They've entered torpor to conserve energy. But they can't survive in that state for much longer. You need to get heat and power back online." Zach approached the central console, a circular platform surrounded by what looked like crystalline control panels. Unlike human technology with its buttons and screens, the Jularan system seemed to be manipulated by precise positioning of limbs over these crystal surfaces. "The tech is different, but I think I understand the basics," Zach said, studying the layout. "Emma, start setting up the portable generators. Ben, help me access their main power grid." As his team worked, Zach carefully examined the engineering schematics displayed on his tablet. The Jularan used antimatter for their main power source like humans did, but their containment methods were far more advanced. "Captain, I've identified the issue," he reported after 20 minutes of investigation. "Their antimatter containment system suffered a critical failure. They jettisoned their main reactor to prevent a catastrophic explosion, but it triggered a cascading power failure throughout their fleet network. All ships are linked in some kind of power sharing system. Can we help them?" Ryan's voice crackled. With static, Zach studied the diagrams. "Their system is more efficient than ours, but fundamentally similar. We can jury-rig our portable fusion generators to provide emergency power to critical systems. And I think, yes, we can help them rebuild their containment fields to accept our antimatter fuel rods. It won't be pretty, but it should get them moving again." "Do it," Ryan ordered. "Whatever you need, you've got it." For the next 4 hours, Zach's team worked frantically to connect their human technology to the alien systems. The work was delicate. One wrong connection could cause an explosion or electrocution. The cold made their fingers clumsy, even through their insulated gloves. Meanwhile, medical teams had boarded the flagship and begun setting up portable heating units around the hibernating Jularan. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Kelly Martinez carefully examined one of the aliens. The Jularan were tall, standing about 7 feet when fully upright. Their bodies resembled earth-preying mantises with 4 arms and 2 legs, covered in a hard exoskeleton. Their heads featured large compound eyes and complex mandibles. "The Jularan are suffering from severe hypothermia," Kelly reported to Captain Ryan. "Their biology requires much higher ambient temperatures than humans do. They're essentially in torpor to conserve energy. We need to get their environmental systems back online quickly." As she spoke, the Jularan she was examining suddenly twitched. Its mandibles clicked weakly and its compound eyes reflected her helmet light. "Hold on," Kelly said both to Ryan and to the alien. "I think this one is waking up." The Jularan's movements became more coordinated as the portable heater raised the temperature around it. Its 4 arms unfolded slowly, and it raised itself into a half-sitting position. When it spoke, the sound was like stones grinding together. Kelly's translation device processed the sounds. "What species are you?" "Human," Kelly replied clearly. "We're from Earth. We picked up your distress signal." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Humans? The new primitives?" Kelly controlled her reaction carefully. "Yes, those humans. We've got engineering teams working to restore power to your fleet. You're going to be okay." On the horizon, Ryan coordinated the massive rescue effort. Every shuttle was deployed, ferrying engineers, medical personnel, and supplies to the stranded fleet. The human crew worked tirelessly, their training put to the ultimate test. "Sir," Communications Officer Allen called. "We're getting a signal from the flagship. Audio only." "Put it through," Ryan ordered. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge, translated by their computers into English. "This is Ambassador Versk, Commander of the Imperial Fleet. I demand to speak with whoever leads your vessel." Ryan straightened. "This is Captain Ryan Miller of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. We're providing emergency assistance to your fleet. There was a pause before the alien responded. Our gratitude for your intervention. Our situation was becoming critical. We've got teams on all your major vessels, Ryan explained. We're setting up emergency power and life support. Our engineers think they can help you rebuild your containment fields to accept our fuel rods. The ambassador's voice carried what the translation software suggested was a mixture of surprise and reluctant acceptance. You risk much to aid us. The Jularin Empire would consider it logical to leave competitors to their fate. Ryan smiled slightly, though the alien couldn't see it. That's not how we operate, Ambassador. We see fellow sentient beings in trouble, we help. It's that simple. A curious philosophy, the ambassador replied after a long pause. Perhaps we have misunderstood your species. As Ryan continued to coordinate the rescue, reports came in from across the fleet. Human engineers were finding creative solutions to repair the alien technology. Medical teams were successfully reviving Jularin crew members. The impossible task was slowly becoming possible. The biggest challenge remained. Could one small human ship really save an entire alien battle fleet? The rescue operation had been underway for 12 hours. Human engineers in environmental suits moved between the Jularin vessels, setting up portable power generators and repairing critical systems. Medical teams worked alongside them, treating the alien crew members as they slowly awakened from their hibernation state. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Ryan Miller studied the holographic display of the Jularin fleet. 28 of the 37 ships now had functioning life support. Progress was steady but slow. Status report, Ryan ordered, rubbing his tired eyes. Commander Olivia Grant consulted her tablet. Engineering teams report success on the main battleships and cruisers. Medical teams have revived approximately 40% of the Jularin crew, focusing on technical specialists who can assist with repairs. Ryan nodded. Any word from Earth Command? Our message will reach them. In another 9 days, Communications Officer Allen said. We're too far out for faster transmission. So we're on our own, Ryan said quietly. The enormity of what they were attempting weighed on him. One small human ship trying to save an entire alien battle fleet. It seemed impossible, yet they were doing it. Lieutenant Susan Baker suddenly straightened at her science station. Captain, I'm detecting a gravity anomaly at bearing 047 Mark 118, moving toward the fleet's position. Asteroid? Ryan asked. Susan shook her head, her expression grave. No, sir. It appears to be a debris field. Micrometeoroids, thousands of them. Impact with the fleet in approximately 18 minutes. Ryan's mind raced. Normally, active ships would detect such debris and make minor course corrections to avoid them. But the Jularin fleet was still mostly powerless, unable to move. Notify all our teams, get them back to their shuttles, Ryan ordered. Sir, Olivia protested. If we pull out now, not pulling out, Commander, repositioning. Ryan activated the ship-wide comm. All hands secure for immediate maneuver. Engineering, give me maximum power to shields. What Ryan planned was risky, perhaps foolish. The horizon was a fraction of the size of the largest Jularin vessels, but his ship had functioning shields and engines. The alien fleet had neither. Move us to position 047 Mark 110. Place us between the debris field and the Jularin fleet. Extend shields to maximum range. The bridge crew stared at him in shock. Sir, Chief Nelson said from Tactical, our shields aren't designed to cover an area that large. The power drain will be enormous. I'm aware of that, Chief. Ryan's voice was calm but firm. Better our shields take the hit than those ships with thousands of hibernating crew members. The horizon moved into position, its engines straining as it maneuvered in front of the massive alien fleet. Ryan ordered all non-essential systems shut down to redirect power to the shields. On the engineering deck, Chief Engineer Zach received the captain's orders with a grim expression. He wants us to do what? His assistant, Emma Chen, checked the calculations on her tablet. It's possible, but we'll have to modify the shield emitters to cover a wider area. It will thin our protection significantly. Better thin shields than none at all. Zack began rerouting power systems. Tell the captain we can give him what he needs, but only for about 12 minutes before the system overloads. As the horizon took up its protective position, the first tiny particles of the debris field began to impact the shields. Each hit caused a small flash of light against the blackness of space like silent fireworks. Ryan watched the shield strength indicators dropping rapidly. Status of the Jularan vessels behind us? Protected for now, Susan replied. But sir, I'm detecting a much larger object within the debris field. Mass approximately 200 kilograms, composition primarily iron-nickel. Ryan understood immediately. While the shields could handle the smaller particles, a meteoroid that size would punch straight through their weakened defenses. Time to impact? 4 minutes, sir. Ryan considered their options. The horizon couldn't move without exposing the fleet. Their weapons might destroy the object, but firing through their own shields would require lowering them momentarily. Sir, Alan called suddenly. Incoming transmission from the Jularan flagship. Ambassador Verzk is requesting to speak with you. The alien's harsh voice filled the bridge. Captain Miller, our sensors detect you are placing your vessel in danger to protect our fleet. That's correct, Ambassador. This is unexpected. Our tactical officers have identified the large meteoroid on approach. They suggest targeting it with your weapons. Ryan exchanged glances with his tactical officer. We've considered that, but we'd have to lower shields momentarily. That would expose both our ships to the smaller debris. Our flagship has partial shield capability restored on the port side, the ambassador revealed. If you maneuver to starboard, we can extend protection to your vessel for precisely 7.2 seconds. This should allow you to fire. It was a risk, but a calculated one. Ryan gave the orders and the horizon adjusted its position slightly. When the Jularan flagship confirmed its shields were ready, the human vessel dropped its own defenses. The tactical officer fired immediately, 3 photon torpedoes streaking toward the approaching meteoroid. The explosions lit up space like miniature suns, fragmenting the large object into thousands of smaller pieces. The horizon restored its shields just as the wave of fragments reached them. The impacts hammered at their defenses, but the shields held. All debris has passed, Susan announced several tense minutes later. No damage to the fleet. A collective sigh of relief passed through the bridge. Ryan opened a channel to the Jularan flagship. Thank you for your assistance, Ambassador. That was excellent coordination. It was logical cooperation, the ambassador replied. The translation software couldn't quite capture the nuance, but Ryan thought he detected something like grudging respect in the alien's tone. Just as the crisis seemed to have passed, alarms blared across all channels. Susan's face paled as she checked her readings. Captain, we have a hull breach on the Jularan vessel designated as NS-7. It appears a micrometeoroid penetrated their outer hull before our shields were in position. Ryan leaned forward. Casualties? Unknown, but that's their nursery ship, sir. Their equivalent of children are aboard that vessel. The Jularan emergency teams are responding, but the ship's internal systems are still mostly offline. The nursery ship. Ryan felt a cold knot form in his stomach. Every spacefaring species protected their young above all else. This wasn't just a rescue anymore. It was potentially a political and cultural catastrophe. The Jularan emergency teams can't reach the damaged section in time, Olivia reported, her voice tense. Their life support is failing in that sector. Ryan stood up. Dispatch our EVA specialists immediately. Have Dr. Martinez coordinate with their medical team. Captain, Chief Nelson cautioned, we don't know enough about Jularan young to. We know they need air and heat just like they're adults. Ryan cut him off. We figure out the rest as we go. The human rescue team, led by Lieutenant Paul Jackson, boarded the damaged nursery ship within minutes. The interior was unlike the other vessels. The corridors were wider, the lighting softer, and the temperature, even now, was being maintained higher than on the other ships. Paul and his team followed the emergency guidance systems to the damaged section, The breach was in a curved corridor where a small meteoroid, no bigger than a marble, had punched through the hull with the force of a bullet. Emergency force fields had contained most of the atmosphere loss, but they were failing as power reserves dwindled. Beyond the corridor lay a large chamber filled with what looked like glowing pods, hundreds of them arranged in neat rows. Each pod contained a young Zularan, resembling a luminescent cocoon rather than the adult form. "We've reached the incubation chamber," Paul reported to both the Horizon and the Zularan medical team. "The breach is affecting environmental controls. Temperature is dropping rapidly." The Zularan medical officer's voice was frantic even through the translator. "The young cannot survive temperature variations. They must be maintained at precisely 42 degrees Celsius. Paul surveyed the situation. The breach couldn't be properly repaired without specialized equipment. The Zularan young couldn't be moved without their incubation pods, and those pods were too large to fit through the ship's corridors to the shuttles. "We need to move them," Paul declared after examining the situation, "but their environmental needs are too specific. They won't survive the journey to our ship." Engineer Lisa Wong, who had accompanied the rescue team, studied the incubation pods. "The pods have independent power cells. If we can jury-rig a portable heat exchanger, we might be able to create a mobile life support system." Working with desperate speed, the human team constructed a makeshift evacuation system from spare parts and equipment from their shuttles. They carefully modified the incubation pods, adding portable power sources and environmental controls. Hours later, when the last of the young had been secured in a stable environment, Ambassador Vrsk approached the exhausted human team. The imposing alien stood silently for a long moment, mandibles completely still. "You have saved our future," the ambassador finally said, the translator struggling to convey the emotional depth. "The young you rescued include the offspring of our highest noble houses." 3 days after the initial discovery, the Zularan fleet was mostly operational again. The alien vessels hummed with energy, their lights glowing against the blackness of space. Human technology had been integrated with alien systems in ways that engineering teams from both species described as inelegant but effective. On the engineering deck of the Zularan flagship, Chief Engineer Zach Harris worked alongside his alien counterpart, a Zularan engineer named Kust. Despite their physical differences, Zach's 2 arms compared to Kust's 4, and the nearly 2-foot height difference between them, they had developed a system of communication that transcended the limitations of their translation devices. "The power flow is stabilizing," Zach said, studying the readouts on his tablet. "Your containment fields are now operating at 87% efficiency." Kazut's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Acceptable for travel to nearest conclave. Station, not optimal but functional. That's engineering in a crisis for you," Zach replied with a smile. "It's never pretty, but it gets the job done." The Zularan made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter, a rattling, clicking noise that had startled Zach the first time he heard it. Now it seemed almost familiar. "Human perspective. Refreshing," Kut said. "Zularan engineering values perfection. Humans value functionality." Zach nodded. "We've learned to work with what we have. Sometimes the perfect solution isn't available, so you find the best one you can." Throughout the fleet, similar scenes played out as human and Zularan crews worked together. The initial tension had given way to cautious cooperation, and in some cases, what might even be called respect. On the Horizon, Captain Ryan Miller prepared for a final meeting with Ambassador Vrsk. The Zularan fleet was now ready to depart, escorted by the human vessel to the nearest conclave station. Ryan straightened his uniform and checked his appearance in the mirror of his quarters. This meeting would be significant, not just for him and his crew, but potentially for all of humanity's future in the galactic community. "Captain to the bridge," came Olivia's voice over the comm. "The ambassador's shuttle is approaching." When Ryan reached the bridge, the main screen showed a small Zularan shuttle gliding toward the Horizon's docking bay. Unlike 3 days ago, the alien vessel moved with purpose and control, its engines glowing with restored power. "Docking complete," Alan reported from communications. Ambassador Verzk requests permission to come aboard with a delegation of 5. Permission granted, Ryan replied. Commander Grant, join me in the conference room. Lieutenant Baker, you too. Chief Nelson, maintain security protocols but keep it subtle. The Jalaran delegation was imposing. Ambassador Verzk stood nearly 8 feet tall, his exoskeleton now shimmering with healthy iridescence in shades of blue and green. His 4 arms were adorned with what appeared to be ceremonial bands, and he carried a staff that Ryan suspected indicated his rank. When the ambassador entered the conference room, the insectoid alien did something unexpected. He lowered his upper body in what the cultural database identified as a gesture of profound respect, reserved only for equals or superiors in Jalaran society. The human officers exchanged surprised glances. This was unprecedented. Captain Miller, the ambassador began formally, his translated voice filling the room. The Jalaran Imperial Fleet acknowledges its debt to the Earth Alliance and its representatives. Without your intervention, we would have perished in the void. Ryan nodded respectfully. We're pleased we could help, Ambassador. That's what explorers do. We look out for each other in the vastness of space. A sentiment not universally shared, Verzk replied, his compound eyes reflecting the room's lights in complex patterns. Many species would have seen our predicament as an opportunity. Our weakness could have been exploited, our technology salvaged from our remains. Ryan tried to hide his shock at such a cold calculation. That's not how humans operate, Ambassador. So we have observed. The ambassador's mandibles moved in what Ryan was beginning to recognize as a thoughtful gesture. When we return to Conclave Space, I will personally advocate for the immediate elevation of Earth from probationary status to full membership. The conference room fell silent. Full membership in the Galactic Conclave would advance Earth's position by decades. It would grant humans access to trade routes, technology exchanges, and diplomatic protections that were currently beyond their reach. That's very generous, Ambassador, Ryan finally said, struggling to maintain his professional composure. It is merely logical, Verzk replied. Our analysts have reviewed your rescue operation in detail. You committed your only ship to save a potentially hostile fleet. Your crew worked beyond safety limits to assist aliens who had previously dismissed you. You risked your lives to save our young, our future. These are not the actions of a species that should be denied equal standing. The ambassador turned to one of his aides, who stepped forward carrying a small crystalline box. Verzk took the box and placed it on the conference table. This contains technical specifications for improvements to your antimatter containment, systems and shield technology, a small token of our appreciation. Ryan recognized the significance of the gesture. The Jalaran were known for closely guarding their technological advances. Thank you, Ambassador. We accept with gratitude. Verzk made another gesture, this one more complex. There is one more matter, Captain Miller. The young ones you saved. From our nursery ship, they wish to express their gratitude. The door to the conference room opened and a smaller Jalaran entered. This one was clearly younger, with a lighter-colored exoskeleton and less pronounced mandibles. It approached Ryan with careful, measured steps. The young Jalaran extended its upper right arm, holding a small, glowing object. This is for you, the translator conveyed, the voice noticeably higher in pitch. I made it while recovering. Ryan accepted the gift, a small sculpture made of what appeared to be crystallized resin. It depicted 2 figures standing side by side, one human, one Jalaran. It's beautiful, Ryan said, genuinely moved. Thank you. You saved me, the young alien replied simply. I will not forget. As the horizon escorted the Jalaran fleet toward Conclave Space, news of the rescue spread rapidly across subspace communications. By the time they reached the nearest station, representatives from a dozen species were waiting to greet the human vessel. Many were curious about the species that had saved the proud Jalaran Empire. Others were skeptical, assuming there must be some hidden motive behind the humans' actions. But none could deny that something unprecedented had occurred. Back on Earth, the diplomatic corps was flooded with messages from previously standoffish alien governments. Species that had ignored human outreach now requested meetings. Trade delegations suddenly had openings in their schedules for Earth representatives. In his ready room, Ryan received a transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Helena Wright's face appeared on his screen, her expression a mixture of amazement and approval. "Captain Miller, your actions have apparently created quite a stir in the galactic community," she said without preamble. "The Zularan have formally nominated Earth for full Conclave membership, with expedited processing. We've received technology exchange offers from species that wouldn't even answer our hails last week." Ryan smiled slightly. "Just doing our job, Admiral, helping those in need." The Admiral shook her head with a wry smile. "Well, your help just advanced our position in the galaxy by about 50 years. The diplomatic corps is calling it the Miller Doctrine now, the radical idea that you should help others even when there's nothing obviously in it for you. Doesn't seem that radical to me, sir." "To us, no. But apparently it's revolutionary. Thinking out there." The Admiral leaned closer to the screen. "You've shown the galaxy something important about humanity, Captain. Not our technology or our strength, but our heart. And that, it seems, is what truly shocked them." As the transmission ended, Ryan looked out at the stars through his viewport. The Zularan fleet traveled alongside them, their ships now fully functioning. Beyond lay the Conclave station, and beyond that, a galaxy of possibilities. Humanity had much to learn about the wider universe. But perhaps, Ryan thought as he watched the stars, the universe had something important to learn from humanity too. The sculpture from the young Zularan sat on his desk, catching the light from distant suns. Two figures, different in every way, standing side by side, different yet together. It was a beginning. The end